Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 out of 2 games between Gonzo and Cadilakor in round 2 of the second European tournament. Today we are going to be seeing Cheux, and on the Allied side, Gonzo is using the 7th Armoured, and on the Axis side, Cadilakor is using the Festung Gross-Paris. So I don't know what Cadilakor did in order to allow Gonzo to play the 7th Armoured, but I'm sure we're going to get a very strong showing of how to utilise them from Gonzo. Now I did want to record at least some games from Gonzo in this tournament. In the first round I avoided doing so because the games were so short, and you can probably imagine in whose favour they ended. But now we're in round 2. Cadilakor definitely a competent opponent and does have a good chance here of doing a lot of damage against the 7th Armoured with the Festung Gross-Paris. And we'll have to see if he can win this one, possibly with the use of the Ju-188. I would say the main reason or main way that I can see the Festung coming out on top in this one is utilising those bombers to pin the recon Stuarts and then overwhelming them potentially with that 2-star Puma we can see placed at the top right of the map at the start. So just in general, everybody knows how the 7th Armoured work. They have those recon Stuarts, they've got the Stag Hounds early on, auto car M3s, also have access to the ablative chantry, but not something you see generally relied upon early on. It's normally recon Stuarts accompanied by command infantry rather than a command vehicle. On the side of the Festung, well known for their great infantry, the Landesschützen, Bewährungs, Feldgendarmerie, accompanied by Panzerschrecks, but there's not really much of a infantry play that you can make on Cheux. Cheux are obviously a very open map, and it's something that I think Cadilakor is going to struggle with moving through this game. The only way that he's going to win is if he draws this through to phase C, or he gets some sort of crazy play with the Puma going in phase A. Because in phase C, you do get access to Panthers. And even though the 7th Armoured does have 3-star Fireflies, those Panthers can just be Panthers at the end of the day. And they tend to win against Fireflies in prolonged range engagements. So it's something that Cadilakor may be able to utilise or take advantage of in that late game. But this early game is really where it matters. If he can hold back the 7th Armoured, then there is a chance for Cadilakor in this one. Let's have a look at precisely the units going down. Panzer B2 for Cadilakor on this top side, accompanied by the Panhard MG with the Afklarer. Further down, it's going to be that Puma with a unit of Landesschützen. Then there's going to be the Landesschützen and the Panzerschreck with another Panzerschreck. We see the Flamethrower in there with another Landesschützen, and Landesschützen with Flamethrower with a command heading towards the town. On the bottom side, it's just going to be a Landesschützen and a Panzerschreck, which is heading towards the bottom side as well. Over on the side of Gonzo, he's brought in a mortar early on. It's going to be assisted by a Staghound and some Desert Rats. Following up is the Stuart Recce with the Recon Infantry and the Stuart Remy with the Command Infantry. Stuart 5 is also on the top side with those forces, and for the mid it's going to be some motorised rifles for the town as well, alongside some Desert Rats. So Gonzo going very light down here, but will probably use the M5 half tracks to hold the front line forwards wherever he needs to. I would expect this M5 to just kind of unload and then maybe drive down to the bottom side of the map, whilst this M5 unloads and then maybe tucks in behind these trees, just so that there's an even spread across the map. But the 2-star Puma has revealed itself. It's going to be engaging the Staghound. First shot is a crew knockout. Nice job there by the Puma, but it's going to come under fire from the Stuart 5. Does need to be careful. That Stuart 5 can be really lethal, but getting the track wheel damage is a good start for Cadilakor. Removes some of the mobility from the Staghound, and honestly I really like the choice of the B2. I think it's very good because the Stuart 5 and the Staghound both have a hard time penetrating the B2 in the front armour due to its 8 armour, whilst the B2 still retains enough AP to penetrate the Staghound and Stuart 5 in return. So Cadilakor in a pretty nice position actually. If he gets aggressive with these landed shoots in, may be able to find some ground. A Panzerjäger has been brought in up here, and it looks like a D520 is going to be brought onto the field. Now I am surprised that this is invested upon without the sight on any enemy aircraft, because it isn't really the best unit for strafing. As you can see, it didn't really pin down the desert rats in one pass, and that's generally what you want out of a strafing aircraft. It's what the Hurricanes do so damn well, is they can one pass an infantry squad and pin it down. But it does allow the B2 to get shots on target, and it does look like the D520's going for the shot onto the motorized rifle leader as well. Another thing that these D520s lack though is ammunition. You can see that it's already out of 20mm ammo. 3-inch mortar, that's going to be trying to get some smoke down as Gonzo does try and get his Stuart 5 and Staghound into a position to engage the Puma. Puma now coming up against the Stuart 5. It's 3-star veterancy though. Oh, this Puma, it's gone. It's just gone. The 8 AP from both those units, more than enough to take out the 4th armour of the Puma. Can't help but feel that is a huge mistake. That was a perfect opportunity for one of the Ju-188 strikes I was talking about, where both of the Stuart and the Staghound were in the same place. If you got a bombing strike down in that instance, then the Puma could have just absolutely cleaned house. But Gonzo probably had plan B ready to go, with his desert rats deployed so damn close already. But seeing that there is a limited force on this bottom side, it looks like Cadilakor's trying to make a move. Has brought up a couple of Panzerschrecks here. We'll be able to get one in range of the M5 half-track. Does find an internal fragment, but with the Puma gone and the B2 weapon jammed by the Stuart 5, Cadilakor's in a very, very tough position. Half-Caller are going to be spotted. Lander shoots and get pinned down by the 50 cal. Both of those infantry squads, I feel, are not long for this world. At least the B2 has managed to get behind the tree line on that top side, and I mean, as long as Cadilakor can contain this push from Gonzo, he should be okay. Not far off breaking through completely on the bottom side. If the desert rats get out of the way, then these units can certainly make a lot of ground. But Gonzo has brought in a Crusader AA that can not only take out the Kubel MG, which could have maybe forced a salient, but will defend against infantry trying to push across the open very well. Cadilakor does find a shot onto the half-track here that tried to get aggressive. The Panzer 35 does get a track will destroy onto the Stuart 5. This is a good opportunity here for Cadilakor to find a kill, but that extra little bit of stress there forces the Panzerjäger to fall back automatically, and that's not what Cadilakor wants. He's now going to have to give up that kill because the Staghound is moving forwards into range. So is another Stuart 5 and another Staghound coming. Ah, such a missed opportunity. That Stuart 5 should be dead, and if it was, it would make this push a lot less potent from Gonzo. But now we have a weapon jammed B2 and a Panzerjäger that's going to suffer at close range against a bunch of units that excel in close range, and that is not a nice place for Cadilakor to be in. But the investment into this Panzerschreck is actually really smart. It can get shots to onto any units that try and break through the choke. It's also got an AT gun on the way, so definitely preparing for this push from Gonzo, and like I mentioned, just needs to try and contain this as much as possible. Surprised to see this Crusader AA hasn't hung around the town. I thought that this was just a really nice unit to counter any infantry movement across the open, but seems as though Gonzo had other plans for that unit. We can see that D520s are being used to try and strafe the infantry and prevent those from finding the Panzerschreck, but doesn't stop the Stuart 5 coming around the corner and killing the Panzerjäger, and therefore that does no longer have to be dealt with. Now this AT gun, I'm not entirely sure what it is. I think it's probably a Pak 38. It has no veterancy though, and against these Stuart 5s, which do have the 50 cal and 30 cal, a 3-star veterancy, that is a problem. Panzerjäger going to be engaging desert rats on this bottom side. Has left itself in a pretty vulnerable position to this Staghound though. The Staghound, due to its aim time, can definitely clean up a Panzerjäger quite well. But what this is really going to come down to, I think, is whether or not this Panzerschreck is killed by the motorized rifles. Because if it is, then the Staghound will have no reason not to push onto that Panzerjäger very aggressively. And you can see on this top side, Stuart 5 does manage to push through. With the help of the motorized rifles, finds surrender onto some of Cadilakor's infantry. Now has clean shots onto the B2, which is going to try and back off behind cover. The Pak 38's already been pinned down by the desert rats, and the 3-inch mortar comes in and pins that down. Staghound's moved to the centre of the map, and it seems as though Cadilakor's losing control up here. I felt like he had a really good chance to contain this area, but Gonzo just has everything he needs to push through, and the Stuart 5 really didn't stand a chance, or the Panzerjäger didn't really stand a chance against the Stuart 5. That's gone. B2 is the only thing holding the line, and it's weapon jammed. So, really strong push here from Gonzo. Has managed to work its way through on that top side. After that Puma kill, I felt like Cadilakor was already in a precarious position. But as soon as this B2 got weapon jammed straight after, it made things so damn difficult. And now Cadilakor is going to have to invest into an absolute ton of AT. That's what he's forced to do now. Double Panzerjäger. I think that was double Pak 38. But either way, going to try and force these engagements with the Stuart 5 at max range. But I don't believe Gonzo will let that happen. He might just tuck in behind this building, or even just behind this tree line, and force Cadilakor to be the one to push into him. T520s come in and pin the motorized rifles on the bottom side. But as we can see, the Staghound did take out the Panzerjäger there. Now +2 went in favour of Gonzo. Has worked over the early game of Cadilakor really well. And now what Cadilakor needs to do is find some value with his Phase B units. I believe he can bring in a Panzer IV. So that would be something I'd like to see in order to take on these vehicles. Or if not a Panzer IV, I think he can bring in the 2-star Stug, which may be the next best thing. Let's take out a Staghound. And since he hasn't completely lost the game yet, I think there is a chance for him to start cleaning up the important units that are making up this push, and then try and push back. But it does depend, because there is a very limited amount of infantry now left on the bottom side, not supported by any vehicles. You've got a limited amount of forces on the top side, and this is vehicles not really supported by much infantry. So it's kind of like the opposite happening. You've got all of the sort of vehicles on the top side and none on the bottom side, or the infantry on the bottom side but none on the top side. But what's happening is Gonzo's slowly cleaning up these infantry. There isn't much left in the town since Cadilakor overextended to make the ground there. And on this top side, well, ROA have come in and will be supported by the Panzerjägers. But this is going to take a while. And I'm not sure it's a while that Cadilakor really has. Double D520 going to try and speed things up by pinning the motorized rifles. But the Crusader AA going to end up forcing these D520s back, and the Spitfire may find a double kill here. That's going to be pretty tough to deal with. Mosquito coming in, Mosquito Fighter. Spitfire Mark 9. Forced back by the D520. Can the Mosquito come in time and save the day? It can. And it's going to find the kill. Nice interception there. Ju-188 comes in with the bombs, forces back the Stuart 5. This is what I'm talking about. This is where you can find the kills onto these Stuart 5s. The pain in the arse thing for Cadilakor, though, is that the Stuart 5s are so damn quick that they do get out of line of sight, and that's a problem. The Stuart 5's also in a pretty dodgy position. Could just move out and find some clean shots onto the Panzerjägers with its high veterancy, and it looks like that's something that Gonzo is going to try and do. Looking for the shot onto the Panhard MG, just clean up as many different units as he can. On the bottom side, Flamethrower Squad goes down, now just the Grenführer and the Panzerschreck left in that town. Stuart 5 engaging the Panzerjäger now. 2-star veterancy wins the day. Alongside that really fast aim time. This Pak 38 now being hit by the 3-inch mortar. Can that actually be seen? No, he must have actually just sort of seen that deployer move in there earlier. That was a nice mortar strike otherwise. S307 Pak has been brought in. That's being forced back by the 6-pounder. Mainly because the 6-pounder could not be attacked by the S307 Pak due to the S307 Pak not having HE. But that 3- or 2-star Stug I was talking about has come onto the field. But what can it do? I mean, it can't really go aggressive here, because if it tries to drive up to the Stuart 5, then it gives the Stuart 5 enough AP to penetrate. So the only way I can see this working is if Ju-188s are invested in, which are 150 points apiece, which is a lot of investment from Cadilakor, since he's only getting 135 points a minute. So you'd have to save up probably at least a couple of bombers to not only dislodge these Stuart 5s, but also pin the 6-pounder. And it just seems as though Cadilakor's in a very tough position. He also doesn't have the recon to spot this 6-pounder in the first place, unless it's spotted by this ROA squad. It is not. Now LEFH-16 has been brought in. That's actually firing towards the Stuart 5 but accidentally hitting the 6-pounder, so that is nice. Now Ju-188 going to come in for the bombing strike. Instantly countered by the Mosquito. 2 Mosquitoes purchased here by Gonzo. Going to shoot down one Ju-188. May also find the kill onto the D520. It will indeed, and although that Ju-188 bombing strike was effective, Gonzo instantly countered it with the aircraft. It's almost as if Gonzo looked at his own forces and thought, what can Cadilakor do to break my position here? And he probably just thought to himself, Ju-188. In which case, All he needs to do is invest into these Mosquito fighters, and Bob's your uncle. There is nothing that Cadilakor can do about it. Especially considering D520s are so bad, and Cadilakor hasn't invested in any AA. So those D520s are completely unsupported, and our motorised rifles are going to come in here. That's going to be within 200 metre range. 2 Piats are going to have a go at this Stuart or Stug 3. And if that Stug 3 goes down, he's in trouble. Motorised rifles get off a shot. Panhard MG already went down. Driver wounded. Panzerjäger does find a kill onto one of the Stuart 5s, which is nice. But the motorised rifle's going to get another shot off. Both of those squads still using the Piats, still missing. The last shot hits the target though. With the Stug 3 going down, that's enough for Cadilakor. He is out of that one. 16 minutes and 57 seconds it took for Gonzo to dismantle Cadilakor's Festung Gross-Paris with the 7th Armoured. And honestly, it didn't end as quickly as I would have expected. Looking at this matchup, with the Gonzo on the 7th Armoured, I would have expected maybe a faster game. But Cadilakor almost contained Gonzo's push. And if he had, moving into Phase B and Phase C, I feel like he could have been in a very strong position. I kind of questioned the movement of Cadilakor on the bottom side. It did seem like he tried to overextend with his infantry, which left him without any for when Gonzo wanted to push back. But I think that was mainly done in response to the overwhelming aggression that Gonzo put onto the top side of the map. So it does kind of make sense. You don't want to lose ground that you don't have to. So if you have the resources to keep it at a 50-50, then why not? But the fact is that Gonzo still continued to find the trades that he needed to with the Stuart 5 in order to break through on that top side. And that's really what made the difference. So 1,370 kills to 715 losses in the end. The Stuart 5 didn't get a crazy amount of kills. 1 Panzerjäger there. This one, however, made the difference. Killing that B2 was very important. And the weapon jam onto that with the first shot was actually disgusting, because generally the B2 can fight a Stuart 5 at max range, but in this case a weapon jam, disgusting. Completely took away the effectiveness of the B2, and Cadilakor really couldn't afford to repair that in Phase A, especially under the pressure that he was, especially with the pressure that he was under. The investment in these Mosquito fighters was a very good move from Gonzo. It seemed like he was always one step ahead of Cadilakor, and basically put Cadilakor in an impossible position where he had to push back with a Stug 3 that really was not made for that kind of engagement. So just stellar play, as is expected from Gonzo. Commiserations to Cadilakor, going to be losing this first game. We'll have to wait and see if he can bring one back in the second game. But that's all for now. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.